After you've ordered your premium impact enclosure, this is what your packaging is going to look like. It will come in 3 different boxes. One will contain the square poles, high quality, premium metal. The other will contain all the fabrics and your impact screen. Within here, as you can see, plus a handy set of bungee cords within. And finally, you will have these that will contain your metal corners and all the connectors that are required to connect all your poles together. And now that you've been acquainted with the various bits and pieces, let's get started on the assembly. At the start of our assembly process, we will begin by placing the corner connectors in their respective positions. 2 at the bottom on the front and 2 at the bottom on the back. Now, in order to differentiate between those that go at the bottom and those that go at the back, you can look at these. The ones at the bottom have a stand to ensure that the entire enclosure doesn't fall down, while the ones that will eventually go on the top of the enclosure have no stand. Alternatively, you can look at the labeling. The A denotes a corner protector, and the B denotes that this goes on the bottom. The 3 denotes that there are 3 outlets on this connector. Unlike this, with a 2 that has 2 pole connectors. So 2 means the number of outlets on the corner connector. The A denotes that this isn't actually a corner connector, and the B implies bottom. As you can see here, there's a 3, meaning 3 outlets, an A, meaning it's a corner connector, and a U, meaning it goes up. So we will not be using this until later on down the assembly process. Bye. Now, 2 poles go at the front, and the 3 outlets go at the back. And this will be the beginning of our assembly process. You can always refer to the manual and the assembly pamphlet that will be provided within to better understand where exactly your particular corner connectors and your particular poles will go. Always refer to the assembly blueprint. It's important for you to ensure that you assemble all the individual bits and pieces correctly. Now, this is how you'll be able to connect the different poles of your square enclosure. First, what you should do is get one side of the connectors and place it in the holes. There we go. This onto the other side. Nice and snugly until they fit. Now get your second other side. Ensure that the holes are aligning. And then pick out any screws from the bag that we shall provide. 2 screws are all that's necessary. And 1 screw. 2 screws, and place it in and twist until it's nice and tight. It is actually that simple and that easy. And this is all the connecting that you're going to need for all the joints within our premium enclosure. As you can see, we do have a similar mechanism for our corner protectors. And just like that, it's nice, tight, and fit. All you have to do is pick up the connectors from within the packaging, place one end at the bottom and the other side, that easily, and then connect and use your screws to screw it in. The mechanism works all over the premium enclosure. Now, this is the assembly blueprint that comes with each and every one of our enclosures. You need to follow it so as you can understand which poles and which connectors go with which poles and which connectors. For example, we have a pole here, 1130. This is the length in millimeters. And you just have to look at your blueprint and you'll realize, oh, there's a piece here. And that piece connects with a similar piece here. And with that, if I connect them together, I have the length, and so on and so forth. We have a corner, 2AB. Where does the 2AB go? It goes at the bottom because it's B. And like that, as you follow the blueprint assembly, you can understand where do I need to connect which and where do I need to connect that until finally you have a beautiful enclosure assembled. After unboxing your fabric portion of the golf enclosures, you will find one, the enclosure fabric. It's one piece of fabric that will go over the frame. You'll find your golf paddings, and these are meant to protect the back portion of your enclosure. Usually two will be of the same length. These will be for the back poles, and one usually longer piece of padding that will protect the top pole. The bottom pole will be protected by a padding that you will find on your golf impact screen right here, as long as you pay attention. As you proceed to the next part of the video, we'll be installing the impact screen using these bungee cords that will be provided with your purchase. Now, it's imperative to pay attention so you don't install your impact screen wrongly. Pay attention to the top and the bottom. Like we mentioned before, the bottom of the impact screen will have the golf padding. These are meant to protect the bottom pole, while the top will look a bit more like this. And it's important also to pay attention to where the front and the back of the impact screen are so that you can install it correctly. Now, when you look at the grommet holes within the metal inlining, the front will look a bit more like this, while the back will look like this. The front is bent inwards, while the back is bent outwards. That way you can identify the front and the back of your impact screen, and you can proceed to install it correctly, as we will show you soon enough. This is the impact screen for your enclosure, and this is what's going to look like. Pay attention to the top and the bottom of the screen. The top of the bottom, or the top of the screen rather, will have just a black seam, while the bottom, if you look carefully, will have a piece of padding attached to it. That way, you can always leave it down and to protect the bottom pole on the back of your enclosure. I tend to keep my bungee cords on my wrist for easy accessibility. And remember, install the front on the front and the back facing behind. You can always identify the front because the front will have the Velcro. This Velcro will attach to your padding and later on the fabric of the enclosure. So always keep it at the front. The back will have the threading shown. So as simple as getting your bungee cord, through the grommet hole and over and around the pole. And just like that, you are at the beginning of installing your very own golf enclosure. And again, bungee cord through the grommet hole and done. Just like that. So easy to install. And you just continue until the entire process is done. So as you can see, we have the foam padding at the bottom of our screen for extra protection, and you will find the grommet holes at the back of the foam padding. All you need to do is string the cord through and then underneath the bar. Around we go. And then finally, we have our screen intact. Remember, at the corners, it's advisable to use 2 bungee cords, 1 for each pole at the bottom and on the side here. Remember to do the same for the top corners of the enclosure. And finally, we have a finished impact screen. Now, this is the premium enclosure because of the square poles that ensure that your impact screen is nice and tight and always looks good, because the square design helps keep everything in place and keeps it looking nice. We have laid out the black fabric so it's easier for you to visualize and understand. Now, you're supposed to pay attention. The darker side of the fabric will go on the inside, while the shinier finish will be on the outside of the enclosure. Remember, this is one piece, but it's going to cover 3 sides of the enclosure: the left, the top, and the right. Now, what we shall do is we shall get the top corners of this Velcro fabric, as you will see soon, and we will attach this end to this pole, and we shall attach that end to the top pole. And at that point, it will be easier to visualize and see how we install the rest of the fabric. When you want to tell the front and the back of the black fabric, remember, the back of the fabric is the one with the grommet holes, and the front of the fabric will have the Velcro attachments. Now, pay attention. The top pole will have this thin piece of Velcro that you will simply get and attach in that manner, just like that. The side pieces will have this kind, where you wrap this around the pole and attach it onto this thick band. And the same will be for the front piece, the front pole. All you will do is get the fabric and wrap it around the top pole. Keep it stretched for maximum effect. And just like that, attach it onto the top. We have come to the end of our enclosure installation, and we will finish by installing our enclosure padding. The padding is meant to protect the poles from the strong hits coming from the golf ball. And if you look at the back, you will find the soft Velcro. The soft Velcro is meant to attach to the hard Velcro found on your impact screen and on the fabric. It's easier to start with one side. At the very top, use one of the side pieces of fabric. Remember, there'll be 2 of these, and the top padding will be longer, the longer of the 3. So finally, one of the 2 side enclosure paddings from the very top, attach. That simple, that easily, all the way down to the bottom. It is not difficult at all. Now, remember, get the longer of the enclosures, of the enclosure paddings, and that's what will go on the top. And we will start a bit off from the corner, and just like that, slowly attach it all the way to the other end, that easily.